Ruslanbek Davletov, it's wonderful to see you here at the Voice of America. This is historic by itself because we've never had the Minister of Justice of Uzbekistan talking to us and at the Voice of America. So we really appreciate your coming.
Thanks a lot for your invitation. I'm very glad to be here.
So when Americans see you, they see a new generation of policymakers in Uzbekistan. But you haven't been in your position for a long time. It's just been a year or so. What was it like to take over the Ministry of Justice in Uzbekistan last year, right? You started in August of 2017.
Of course, this is a very challenging job, and I've never been enrolled in the Ministry of Justice. I'm not a justice worker. I came from outside. So it was a big challenge for me, this post. As you know, President Mirziyoyev has introduced many reforms in all spheres of public life and state life, and the Minister of Justice is very central to these reforms because we do all the legal analysis, all the legal work concerning the realization of these all reforms. So I can tell you that for the last 1.5 years, Uzbekistan has passed more than 800 pieces of legislation. So this is
that's a lot of laws.
A lot of laws, and the challenge is, the next step is to make them work. Of course, we're doing a lot in properly administering all this legislation, and this is a big challenge for us. When I came to ministry, the first task that I put before myself was to get closer to the people who will serve as a ministry, because that was the demand by the president and his new concept of talking to people. The ministry has 8,000 staff. We have many directions, many functions, including protection of human rights, working with NGOs as a regulator, and we overlook over the notary system, civil registration system, and we have special agency for public services with subsidiaries all over the republic.
Reforms should mean that Uzbekistan is on its way to become a just society, something we hear a lot about from President Mirziyoyev himself nowadays. He says that, Uzbekistan will and should become a country based on the rule of law. And by that, we also hear him almost admitting that this hasn't been like this before. So we're on a new path. That's something also we hear a lot from him. How do you envision that? How can or should the country move forward to become a just society? What are the challenges that you see?
I wouldn't say that we didn't have a just society, because after gaining the independence, we've been building this society. We've been moving towards the legal society, and of course, as any society, as any state, we did have problems, and President Mirziyoyev started to openly addressing these issues, really hard topics, I would say. For instance, we concede that there were problems in communicating with our own citizen, studying their problems, the social life. So there was kind of gap in
caring about people.
So the president started from talking directly to people, and this, I would say, transformed the society. Now it is more open. People came out and started talking to state bodies and demanding their rights, actually, and this led to the responsiveness of the state bodies. And of course, there are challenges, and all the problems with judicial system, they're all being addressed, and openly we're introducing new decisive steps to make judiciary independent. The presidential decree even addressed the issue of torture in detention centers and having inhuman or degrading treatment. So this is of course the problem that we're working with, and I would state that we already have real effective results on that matter because we introduced new surveillance system in detention centers, and the attorneys now have the unlimited right to talk to their clients without any interference, and we introduced new requirement that any interrogation with the suspect should be recorded, and we introduced new special measures to address torture in court proceedings. So these are, I would say, one more question is the question of forced labor in Uzbekistan, and this of course is a legacy of old times, and this was seen as a patriotic movement of people, you know, going out and helping others, doing communal work. But again, the government has started to openly fighting this behavior, this phenomenon in Uzbekistan, and the society is discussing this problem. And I think that because of new measures introduced, and we're already having real results on this matter, and International Labour Organization also stated that the issue of forced labor in Uzbekistan is being solved successfully.
How do you see these changes yourself? Obviously, you grew up in Uzbekistan, you've seen this society evolve, and as you said, you know, the goal of building a just society has always been there. It's just the way we approach it. The strategy, let's say the tactics changed now, right? And also the narrative changed, and it's very difficult for the outsiders to understand what happened, what changed. Fine, you have a new leader now, but what else has changed? Is it just about the political will?
Of course, for any reforms to be successful, there should be a very strong political will. And nobody can say that the president is not showing this will. And I'll say
but it doesn't always translate into action, you know that.
I wouldn't agree with you, because whatever we start doing, we always think about how we're gonna implement this. And it's only been 1.5 years, and the expectations are really high, but the work is being done really hard. And I'll tell what happened. What happened is the mood of people. They started to believe in their future, and then people started to talk about their problems directly.
What triggered that?
Again, this is political will of the president. He introduced new measures of this new concept of dialogue with the nation, and then after that it led to the activity proliferation of the mass media. If you look at the local media now, it has changed completely in terms of addressing the problems, social problems, and criticizing the government bodies. So this is in turn leading us as the state authorities to work more effectively, because we feel accountable before the people of Uzbekistan. So this is also a new concept of working.
Isn't the reform agenda that Uzbekistan has introduced and wants to follow now, isn't it too ambitious for a country that doesn't have a lot of expertise? And we hear this from the government itself. The president himself says that we lack expertise, we lack experience. But the reform agenda promises a lot. Isn't this going to be very difficult to manage those expectations?
The reform program is very ambitious, of course, but never underestimate the potential of Uzbekistan with its very rich resources, with human capital, and the openness of the economy and the potential of the economy. So I would say that we're capable of doing this, realizing in real life this ambitious program.
Do you lack expertise at the Ministry of Justice?
Do I?
Does the ministry lack expertise too? I mean, your reform agenda is very ambitious too. You're on your way to to promote independent judiciary, right? To create this reliable democratic justice system in the next 5 years, as said in the reform agenda?
The human resources issue is one of the challenging issues for us, but we're working on it. That's why we're here. We're attracting foreign experience coming to Uzbekistan. We're opening new institutions for capacity building, and we're introducing new courses for our workers. So I think that it all goes parallel with our aims. It's not like that you just do one thing and wait for another thing. So this all is going all together.
American officials tell us that they really want to help in this sector. They really want to bring in assistance to help Uzbekistan reform itself in the judiciary system, in the justice system. What can they do? What are some of the concrete, I guess, ways of assistance that they could provide that'll be really useful for you, for example?
We are already working with American counterparts, and the fields where we can work together. There are too many. Unlimited, yes. Starting from, as I mentioned, the problem with the human resources, training of our workers, and inviting experts to hold seminars, training sessions, and some courses. And besides that, taking part in drafting legislation, reforming the criminal legislation, reforming the civil legislation. So there are many ways where we can successfully cooperate. And again, we can have joint projects, long-term projects. Even I today was talking with our partners here and asking them for facilitating and inviting the U.S. universities to open their subsidiaries in Uzbekistan, because we do need law universities.
So law schools.
Law schools, yeah, we're open for that.
So this is remarkable because, having covered the U.S.-Uzbek relations, we have seen a lot of tension, specifically in working together in this sector. When it came to justice, when it came to the questions of rule of law, human rights, there were a lot of disagreements over the years. And should we see this, what you're describing, as an opening for American values, for American institutions? You are basically open for anything from the United States.
I would say more where we don't have any issues, sensitive issues that we cannot touch upon. So we're ready for talks, we're ready for partnership. And so I think that the American side is also feeling the same. So why not to cooperate?
Yeah. What we hear from here is that, well, Uzbeks should let us know what they need.
We will let them know, no problem. They already know because we are talking. And disagreements, we're not afraid of any disagreements. We are open to discuss them, any issue.
So at the beginning of this interview, I told you that they like you here. They see you as a new blood. Are there many of you? How many of you are there in Tashkent?
I wouldn't distinguish some heads of the organizations to others, because they're all very competent. They're all working really hard. So there is no divide between the ministries or other bodies.
Yeah, but there are different circles, right? I mean, there are U.S. educated ones, there are Western educated ones with liberal ideas, pro-American ones, and not many people know about this, because in many ways, when they discuss President Mirziyoyev's team, everybody wonders about who those people are. Who are those guys, let's say, behind Mirziyoyev's reform agenda? Who are the drivers of this agenda?
I wouldn't like to take sides and say pro-Western or pro-American, something like that. We're pro-Uzbekistan. We think about Uzbekistan because we know our problems, what problems are, we know our challenges. So whatever we need to make it better, we're ready for that. And we're very pragmatic and practical in this sense. And if you work in Uzbekistan, of course, maybe you may not be familiar with the way we work. There is no distinguishing factor there, Western educated or other educated. We as a team work together and solve the issues together.
So there are no intellectual clashes, there are no debates?
Of course there are debates, but it is normal working process, and we're dealing with it properly, and no quarrel comes out of it.
Well, good to hear that.
Yes.
Thank you so much for talking to us. I could continue this conversation
Yes.
forever, but I know you have to go. So I really appreciate you being available to talk to us.
Thanks a lot for having me.